Picture total peace. A quiet forest. Morning light. A man sits on a yoga mat, eyes closed, breathing in slowly. In and out. And right beside him, on its own tiny yoga mat, sits a mouse, also cross-legged, also breathing, also, frankly, nailing it. This is your moment of calm. You breathe in, and so does the mouse. That shared breath, one rodent, one human, the same air, is how hantavirus has always reached people. For decades, that was the whole story. Then, in April 2026, a cruise ship crossed the Atlantic. Luxury cabins, buffet, the whole thing. By the time it reached port, 10 people were sick. 3 of them were dead. And there wasn't a single mouse on board. The cause wasn't food poisoning. It wasn't the flu. It was a virus that, until very recently, scientists were fairly sure couldn't do what it just did. And the passengers who felt fine? They'd already scattered home, across 12 different countries, before anyone knew what they'd been exposed to. This is hantavirus. And in 2026, it broke its own most reassuring rule. So let's start where every case starts. A breath. Hantavirus is a family of viruses carried by rodents, and in nature, it gets into humans exactly one way. Remember our Zen friend from the forest? A deer mouse urinates, defecates, or sheds saliva in a quiet, closed space. A cabin, a barn, a garage left shut all winter. Those droplets dry out. The virus hitches a ride on the dust. And the moment something disturbs it, a broom, a footstep, a gust, it goes airborne. This is called aerosol transmission. You don't get bitten, you don't get scratched. You walk in, breathe the dust, and that's the entire exposure. 3 seconds. No cough, no warning. You'd close the door and go make a sandwich. This is the disease in its classic form, rodent to human by air. The textbook also promised one comforting rule. It stops there. One human cannot give it to another. In April 2026, that rule broke. The virus on that ship was the Andes virus, a South American strain of hantavirus, and it is the single known exception to everything I just told you. Andes doesn't need the mouse in the room. It can spread the way a cold does, person to person, through close contact and the air between 2 people. One infected passenger, shared cabins, shared dining rooms, recycled air for days at sea. That's how a single exposure became 10 cases. And because it took weeks before anyone raised the alarm, the passengers had already scattered off the ship and onto flights to 12 different countries, forcing health authorities in all 12 to track them down before it could spread further. Like all hantavirus, Andes causes hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, HPS, an attack on the lungs. Among people who develop the breathing symptoms, HPS kills around 38%. Not 3.8, 38. Nearly 4 in 10. And then the clock starts. Hantavirus has an incubation period of 1 to 8 weeks. The whole time, the virus is quietly multiplying inside you, and you feel completely normal. This is why the cruise ship was a nightmare. By the time anyone realized what they were dealing with, the passengers had already disembarked, hugged their families, and boarded flights home. The virus doesn't rush. It doesn't need to. It travels economy class and lets you do the work. Here's what it's actually doing in there. Hantavirus targets your endothelial cells, the lining on the inside of every blood vessel you own. Their job is to keep your blood and your fluids exactly where they belong. The virus infects them. Your immune system counterattacks with massive inflammation, and caught in that crossfire, the vessel walls start to leak. The capillaries in your lungs, the microscopic vessels that load oxygen into your blood, begin weeping fluid into the air sacs. Your lungs are slowly filling with liquid, while you're still convinced you have a bad cold. And this is the cruelest trick hantavirus plays. Phase 1. Fever, aches, fatigue, maybe a headache. Pure flu. Nothing about it says hospital. It says rest and fluids. So people stay home. They feel rough for a few days. They assume the worst is behind them. It is not. Phase 2 hits 4 to 10 days in. Shortness of breath, a cough, a chest that won't fully inflate. And once it starts, it moves in hours, not days. A person can go from a bit breathless to a ventilator inside a single day. The lungs are so flooded that no amount of breathing pulls in enough oxygen. Doctors call it respiratory failure. The heart can give out behind it. That cough you were going to sleep off? That was the door closing. So what's the treatment? Oxygen, ventilators, fluids, blood pressure support. In the worst cases, a machine that oxygenates your blood outside your body because your lungs simply can't. There is no antiviral that targets Hantavirus. There is no approved vaccine. Every tool we have is just buying time and hoping your immune system wins the fight on its own. Statistically, a lot of the time, it doesn't. Now the part that actually protects you, because the exposure is preventable. Before entering any closed space where rodents may have been, open it up and let it air out for at least 30 minutes. Fresh air first, then you go in. Never sweep or vacuum droppings. That throws the particles straight into the air you breathe. Spray them with disinfectant, let them soak, then wipe with a damp cloth. Seal gaps in your home. A mouse fits through a hole the size of a dime, which is both genuinely impressive and deeply annoying. And the Andes lesson. If someone close to you was sick with severe breathing trouble after rodent exposure, take your own symptoms seriously. Hantavirus doesn't care how healthy you are or how brief the contact was. And the mouse that started it has no idea it did anything at all. Which, honestly, makes it worse. If you've been near rodents, or near someone who has, and flu symptoms show up in the following weeks, especially shortness of breath, tell a doctor and mention it. Don't wait it out. It is not, in fact, just a cold. I'll see you in the next one.